All right, potential busts. All right. I got to start off with one that's probably going to piss y'all off. That's what I do best, right? Piss y'all off. I got to do one that's probably going to piss some people off. But when I look at a player like Bucky Irving, who had a really nice season last year, especially kind of came in, surprised a lot of people, was a fantasy football darling, right? I have a lot of concerns about taking a guy who doesn't catch a ton of passes, still sort of in a committee on a team that really wants to throw the football. I have some concerns about Bucky going this high. I think if he was like RB13, RB12, RB13, I'd probably be a lot more inclined to draft him. But to take Bucky Irving as one of your cornerstone, probably your first running back off the board, I don't know about that. I feel like that's not where I would go. That's not the direction I would head. Right now, Bucky Irving is going over players like Breece Hall, Kyron Williams, He's going over Joe Mixon, Alvin Kamara. Like, to me, I just think there's a lot more risk built in with a guy like Bucky Irving, that he has a sophomore slump, that teams kind of figure something out on him on tape. He surprised everybody to start the season and then finished really strong. And I like the kid. I think he has good potential. My concern is that you're taking him like a round or two earlier than like some really good names. And I think at this spot here, you can get the similar type of upside with a Breece Hall, with a Kyron Williams. You can find that just like 5 picks later. So for me, I have a lot of like concern about people who want to take Bucky Irving in the second round. I mean, Christian McCaffrey's probably going to be going around this range once the draft starts. I think this range, when you talk about running backs that I'm looking to avoid, it's going to be these back-end RB1s that are somehow finding their place a little bit too high in their rankings, in my opinion. He's going over Jonathan Taylor, who had a really strong finish to the year. So I'll be very cautious about Bucky Irving. I know that's going to piss a lot of people off. But for me, I'm out on Bucky Irving. Another running back end of the top 10. Like I said, I think this is going to be kind of landmine-ish area. Ashton Genty is going as the running back 7 right now. Did we not learn last year from Bijan Robinson? Did we not? I told you guys last year, Bijan Robinson, I was concerned about him just going too high. Ashton Genty, somebody's going to take him in the first round of whatever draft you're in. They're going to hear the Marshawn Lynch comparisons. Pete Carroll is the head coach now. Beast mode port 2, like Ashton Genty. You can't tackle him. I hear you. And I fully support Ashton Genty being an elite running back in the game at some point. Chip Kelly ran the football at the highest pace. He's the new offensive coordinator for the Raiders. Ran at one of the highest paces you'll see in the NFL. He's with the Eagles and with the Niners. I get it. They're going to feed Ashton Genty the ball. But what kind of season are we expecting? And unless he catches, 40 passes, I think we're looking at like a 1,200-yard, 1,300-yard back with like 8 touchdowns, which I think is great. But and maybe that puts him like back in RB1. But I also think that that's like an incredible season for Ashton Genty next year. I think if you finish with 275 carries, 8 touchdowns, we're talking like 25 catches in the passing game. I think we'll look at Ashton Genty and be like, damn, he had a really good season. He should probably do better than next season. So I know there's always a rookie running back who finishes in the top 10 and, you get really good draft capital on him. It's just, I get concerned that this price is a little too high over some more established names. Like I said, you can get Jonathan Taylor, who's going RB10 after him. And I think Jonathan Taylor is going to have a much better season, has much better potential, I'll say, than Ashton Genty. Could Ashton Genty finish as the top 5 back? He could. I think you're drafting him there. You're drafting him at RB7 right now. Just doesn't give you a whole lot of wiggle room for error. So I think there's a world where Ashton Genty struggles for a little bit. I think there's a world where this Raiders just Raiders offense in general maybe isn't up to speed, right? Isn't the best offense in the world. So I can see the Raiders being the reason why Genty's not that yet. Not yet. He will be elite one day. I think Genty will be elite. But for now, I think it's a little too early for Ashton Genty. Next up, JSN. I was on JSN last year. This year, the price is too high. Sam Darnold in now, and obviously with the new offense coordinator Clint Kubiak, the Seattle offense is going to look a lot different than it did last year. And I like Clint Kubiak. I think him as a coordinator is going to be a very good thing for the Seattle passing game. But I also think when it comes to JSN, you got to take him so early now. They also signed Cooper Kupp, who's going to be a bigger part of this offense than people think he will be. And I know this run game, right? We saw what it was for the Saints. The run game is very important. Alvin Kamara, a big component to that. Kenneth Walker should see his value go up as well this year. But I think when it comes to JSN, everybody, we're seeing the trade of DK Metcalf. The targets look like they're going to be there for him, right? This massive opening of targets with DK gone. Tyler Lockett is now in a Tennessee Titans uniform. But he will have to share targets with Cooper Kupp. Make no mistake about it. Team didn't sign him to a 3-year deal, upwards of close to $20 million a year to not get him the football as well. So I really like JSN. He kind of profiles as like what Chris Olave was to me, like a wide receiver 15-ish type play. And I think you're going to have to take JSN at a very high rate this year. And when you're going to be taking him over some bigger names in the fantasy world, like at the receiver position. I talked about Devontae Adams going as like the wide receiver, 18 he's going at. You're going to have to take JSN over Devontae Adams. You're going to have to take JSN over a Garrett Wilson. You have to take JSN over Terry McLaurin, who was really good last year. So while I think JSN is going to be a good football player in real life and probably have a good season yet again, I think taking him at wide receiver 11 for fantasy, way too early. Ain't no way I'm taking him that early. I love the offense, love the setup. But with Darnold at quarterback, I have some concerns about JSN at wide receiver 11. All right, last two, and then I will get into Q&A. Avoid Puka Nacua. Uh-oh. He's going as a top 3 guy right now. I've seen him as high as 2. I've seen him as low as like 5 or 6. But Puka Nacua, it's ceiling time for him. With Devontae Adams there, how are we feeling about this? Because Devontae will open things up. And I don't think this is a clear wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2. I said that with Cooper Kupp as well. So you can choose to believe that or not. But I think you signed Devontae Adams to be a wide receiver 1B. And he's going to be playing that DeMarcus Robinson spot, which is a really nice spot for him. I don't think they play him out the slot. I think Devontae's going to have a really strong season. I think it's tough to have 2 wide receivers that are like top 10 guys, especially one of them that's a top 3 guy. Now, I think Nacua will be a good – I like him better in like the wide receiver 5, 6, or 7 spot. But there's also other receivers, CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas. There's guys with similar upside that I don't know if you have to take Puka Nacua here. I don't. And he won't be hurt this year. And I think he'll play well. It's just wide receiver 3 is heavy. Obviously, you got Jamar Chase, Jettas at the top there. I think Puka Nacua, this could be a bias thing, right? I haven't been on Puka Nacua's first 2 years. This could be a bias thing. I'd like to think my bias is out of it. This seems like an extremely pricey spot for a guy that's going to have to split a workload, also as a running back that does take a lot of touchdown volume away. So you can take it with a grain of salt if you've been on the channel before and you've seen me talk about Puka Nacua, but I think this is a little too high. I think a CeeDee Lamb pick is a much better pick. St. Brown is in the similar range, and you don't have to take him as high. So I'd be concerned about taking Puka Nacua, wide receiver 3, just a little early for my liking. Last one. Did I say it? Jamar Chase. Now, this is going to be controversial, obviously, because Jamar Chase is, it's probably the sexiest pick in the number 1 spot, right? You get a receiver in PPR leagues. You also get elite upside any given week. And I think when it comes to best ball, Jamar Chase is the guy you want to have, right? But I think we forget sometimes what Jamar Chase tends to do in any given season. Chase typically is a big spike week guy. Like last year, I'm pulling up the stats right now. Last year we had, I want to say he had 2 games over 50 fantasy points, which really carried his value, right? Let me pull these numbers up while I'm going over so y'all don't think I'm crazy. So y'all don't think I'm crazy. Just so y'all don't think I'm crazy. But Jamar Chase last year, towards the end of the season, he had a monster stretch where he had a 50-point game and a 41-point game, right? He had two 40-point games and a 50-point game. He played well, and I'm not saying that he's not elite or worth the spot. I think it's just a little bit of a reach to take him number one, especially with T. Higgins getting his bag. Jamar Chase got his bag. Like, I think this is going to be one of those picks where we look at it like, damn, everything went perfect for Jamar Chase last year. I don't know if it happens again. It's one of those forward-thinking picks because at the number one spot, there's no guarantee, right? You take him, you take Saquon, who was the RB1. It's like, okay, I know Saquon didn't get hurt last year. There might be some injury risk. Bijan, we've never seen it before from Bijan Robinson. He could take that next level up. You could say, Justin Jefferson, now J.J. McCarthy's there, has the upside. Like, there's a lot of potential here for this number one overall spot. I think Jamar Chase is an okay pick. Me personally, I'm avoiding him at this number one spot. I kind of like a bounce back ever from Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, somebody like that. And it's more of a hunch thing. I'll be honest with you. Like, it's a hunch thing when it comes to Jamar Chase. I think he can get back there. It's tough for guys to do number one receiver back to back in multiple seasons. So, the volume is there, had 175 targets last year. It's just 17 touchdowns. I carried so much of his value last year. Tough to say it, but that's the player. If I'm going to go with the player that I'm kind of avoiding right now at the top, I like Bijan, who had a very strong finish this season last year. I like Bijan a lot at the number one spot, but I liked him last year, and I've seen a couple people on Bijan, which has me a little concerned. I'm not going to lie. Whenever I see other analysts on my shit, has me concerned. Has me concerned. Bijan and Breece is crazy. Oh, before I get into that, I got one last thing for y'all. Who's the J-Hen player this year that I'm getting in every single draft as of right now, as of May 6th? Take a guess. I want to see some of y'all guesses right now. If y'all have a guess right now, put it in the comments. Who is the player you think – it's a receiver. Who is the player you think I'm getting in every single draft I can? Every single draft. Go ahead and guess. Take a few guesses. I want a couple guesses beforehand. Bijan and Breece is crazy. I think this is a very realistic combo, especially at the top of the first round in the Snakes. Top of the third round, Breece is probably going to be there. Breece is probably going to be there. No, not Bucky. He was great last year. And that's the tough part, right? It's tough because in redraft, every year is a brand new year. And the one thing that people, because of Dynasty, the one thing is that people tend to hold on to last year's values. And I think it raises a lot of the ADPs. Like rookies are starting to go a lot earlier. And then also, like I said, players who perform well, young players, they tend to go a little higher than they should after a strong year. So, I don't know. I like Bucky Irving, but I think RB8 is just too rich for my blood. Brian Thomas, that's a good pick. It's not Brian Thomas. Who you guys think is the receiver that I'm targeting in all my drafts? He's still going in the back end of the first round, so I like BTJ a lot. And I think he has a lot of upside, and I would love to get him as my number one receiver, but not quite. Devontae motherfucking Adams. Listen, I love Devontae Adams, and he will for sure be on a lot of the sleeper lists you see. We know he will be on a lot of my sleeper lists. It is not Devontae Adams, though. That's not the – I might have him on every team, but that's not the player I'm talking about. Adams, I don't know. Najee, no. It's a receiver. It's a receiver. It's not Najee. It's not Najee. Not Najee. And I'm probably going to stay away from Najee this year. Unfortunately. Tay, we're going to get Tay. We're going to get Tay, but that's not the pick. CD. I love CeeDee Lamb this year, but you may not have that first pick, right? There's one player that I'm going to get in every single draft, and he's going to finish as the top 12 guy this year. You see it. Marvin Harrison will be a top 12 receiver this year. And we go back to it. No, I drafted him in the first round. He was a first-round pick last year in fantasy drafts. People were taking Marvin Harrison in the first round. Now, all of a sudden, Marvin Harrison is ranked wide receiver 23. Wide receiver 23 on a team that for sure did not draft him to be the secondary behind Trey McBride. They for sure did not. Marvin Harrison is going to have the ascension that we were looking for. The spots that we saw last year, I guarantee him and Kyler Murray are going to figure out a way to make that work with Trey McBride. Now, if you're the Cardinals organization, why you sell all these Marvin Harrison jerseys? Why are you take an elite generational prospect at the receiver position not to feature him? There's a reason for that. You have to have a ramp-up period. You have another player that's elite in Trey McBride. And if defenses are going to give that to you, you got to honor it. But there's a learning curve for that for receivers, and I think the expectation for the fantasy community is that talent always comes in and is elite. And if they're not Jamar Chase their rookie year, if they're not Justin Jefferson their rookie year, then they're a failure. We write them off way too quickly. I think Marvin Harrison is due for a mega season. I like him as like wide receiver 23. If I'm building out my team right now, somebody asked me about roster construction early on. If I'm building out my team right now, and somehow I can get like a Bijan Robinson early, a Breece Hall early, right? Like as my two backs, a Jonathan Taylor or instead of Breece Hall. If I can get two of those backs, and then I can start to pare down and get like a Malik Neighbors type upside, a Brian Thomas Jr. upside, with the safety net of like Devontae Adams and Marvin Harrison. Brother, these teams are going to be crazy next year. When we do some of these mock drafts, these teams are going to be absolutely insane. Everybody else is going to go for like, their teams are going to look like Bucky Irving and JSN and Ashton Genty. Meanwhile, our teams are going to be fucking stacked. Watch. Just watch how this plays out. Y'all already know, man. Y'all already know how we do it. Man. Let me know what y'all think. Marvin Harrison. Marvin's going to be my guy. You know ball. Marv, unless it creeps up to like top 15 range, Marv is going to be on every team I have.